Trigger warning, guys, for this next one. This next one does have mentions of SA. If that's something you're not comfortable with, that's completely fine. You can just move along to the next video. That's absolutely fine. But let's get into it. This next one is coming from r/relationship advice and it's titled, I, 50 female, told my daughter, 24 female, that I won't attend her wedding if her biological father is there. But now she says that I'm being stuck in the past. I would appreciate some advice on the current situation I find myself in, and I am hoping an outsider viewpoint can offer some clarity. For some context, about 24 years ago, I was SA'd by a close friend of mine and got pregnant by the encounter. I was inconsolable for months after the event. To make matters worse, I found out I was pregnant when I was 20 weeks, and where I live at the time, it was illegal to get an abortion after the first trimester. My husband had really been my rock and my support during that time, and I do not know how I would have ended up if it's not for him. He said that I could put it up for adoption or I could keep the child and he would raise it like our other children. I decided not to give it up for adoption, but raising the kid was hard. I'm half Polish and half German, and he is half German and half Russian. We both have pale skin, light hair and blue eyes, as well as being fairly tall. I'm about 178 centimeters or around 5'10", and he is 191 centimeters or about 6'3". However, our daughter Luna is about 5'3", has dark hair and a brown complexion like her biological father. I often heard snide remarks about me being an unfaithful wife because it was obvious that she was not my husband's child. It was especially hard for me when Luna was young because she looked so much like her dad. My husband took care of my daughter most of the time, since I had flashbacks whenever I saw her face from when I was assaulted. As she grew up, it died down a bit, but I would still get these horrible panic attacks when I saw her wearing boys' clothes and short hair. Since I was prone to having panic attacks, Luna ended up being closer to my husband than she was to me. Also, she often ended up getting a little more than her siblings from my husband as some compensation because of me. We never told her she was the product of SA because I was too ashamed and my husband did not want her feeling different from her siblings. I often told her that me and her biological father got into an altercation and never spoke to one another ever again. About 2 years ago, she got one of those DNA test items and found out she had a relative in the system. Said relative got Luna in touch with her bio dad and they started talking despite my protests. He apparently wanted to speak to me about something he wanted to tell me, so Luna attempted to persuade me to speak with him. I made her aware that me and her father shouldn't ever be in the same room together. Now Luna is getting married to a lovely young man. Some of the COVID restrictions have been lifted, so she is able to have a decent sized wedding. The original plan was to have my husband walk her down the aisle, but he had gotten into a bad accident, leaving him in a wheelchair until his legs are strong enough to support his weight again. However, this is not her idea of a picture-perfect wedding. Here we go again with the picture-perfect wedding. What is that about? God forbid your dad be in a wheelchair. It's ridiculous. So she invited her biological father to have the honour of being the bride's father. Her wedding invitation not only invited my R-wordist, but she totally disrespected the man who raised her. Although I or a bridesmaid could have pushed him down the aisle, she thinks it would not fit the vibe of the wedding. I truly do not understand this logic. My husband looked so shocked and upset that she would even think of this, but I was furious. I have a visceral hate for that man, and I let her know that I would not be anywhere near him. She told me this is what she wants, and there's no changing her mind. So I told her I would not be attending if he's there. She got upset and told me that I shouldn't hang on to the past, but I laid it into her that she doesn't know what happened between me and her biological father, so she shouldn't stick her nose in where it doesn't belong. Though I feel terrible about what I said and how I said it, and I can't be blamed for her being born or not knowing what happened since I never told her, I still feel as though my wishes should be respected. If I say I don't want to be in the same room as someone, I'm now okay with her contacting her father. I just do not want anything to do with him. Also, it's rude to replace your father with another man who you've barely known for 2 years because of something he couldn't control. That is a lot to unpack. Okay, is it just me, or does the daughter sound like a teenager? Okay, I am the same age now as the daughter is in this story. I'm 24. I cannot imagine treating my mum this way. As a teenager, I mean, you don't really see, you think that you're right about everything. You can't really see anything from anyone else's perspective. You know what I mean? As a teenager, things are a little bit different. You haven't had enough life experience yet to understand that things might be a bit deeper than what you're imagining them to be. But as a 24-year-old, you've surely experienced enough about life. You're at a point where you're getting married. You should know that some people do things to you that are so bad that you don't want to speak to them ever again. I think that there are things that the daughter might be thinking and feeling that the mother probably hasn't even begun to think about. I mean, the daughter is hurt. I know that she came from such a traumatic experience in the mum's life, and that's obviously going to have such a big effect on their relationship. But I think the mum does have to realize that that daughter is her own whole person, and she probably holds her own traumas as well, like the fact that she knows she doesn't look anything like her siblings, and that her mum doesn't really want to be around her because of her dad. And from her point of view, she's probably thinking that this is something to do with some kind of falling out that her and her dad have had. She's probably wanting her parents to finally just hash it out, whatever argument they've had or whatever falling out that they've had. She probably is just like, you guys, like, mum, you just need to get over it. It's been such and such amount of time. She doesn't know it's coming from such a traumatized place. You know, she doesn't have any real idea of where this is coming from. And so she's just thinking, at this point, you know, I'm 24, suck it up, it's my wedding, and it is what it is. I do understand why are you just chucking away the guy who raised you as his own daughter? There's something so much more special, not more special, but something so special about a relationship between a father and daughter when it's not the biological father, because that's a man who's put his own pride aside. Obviously not in this situation because it was SA, but from the daughter's point of view, this is a man who has put his own pride aside in order to be there for you as a father. She should at least be thinking that the dad has stepped up to be there and be her father, just as he did all of his other kids, in fact, even a little bit more. And the way you repay him is the minute that your biological dad's in the scene, he's the one that gets to walk you down the aisle. That's so mean. Well, I don't know. I just feel like she's not thinking straight. And obviously it goes without saying, I am so sad for this mother. The trauma that she's gone through, and then having to carry a child to full term, then deciding to keep that child in your house and raise them, and going through all that just for the child to turn into an adult and turn around and push your abuser in your face and say, be friends with him. Mom, get over it. It's a pain I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. That is absolutely heartbreaking. But let's move on to the update. Before I get started on the update, I have a few things I have to address. A lot of people have questioned me on why I did not tell my daughter that she was a product of SA. The only answer is that I was ashamed of myself. For some context, before I got married to my husband, I actually was very close friends with my attacker. We grew up together in a small community and our families were close. Our parents even wanted us to get together. He was always interested in me, but I didn't give it a chance until we went to university. I broke it off with him and started dating my husband, but I never cut him off because we were very close. He invited me over to drink. This was normal for us. And when I started to get tipsy, he groped me. I was very traumatized by the situation and tried to get him jailed, but I couldn't. He had a very good reputation, so everyone believed him, even my own mother, when he said that I had willingly came over and did it with him. I eventually stopped pursuing because of the social pressure, which only got worse when I found out I was pregnant. I eventually left that place with my husband and kids to live somewhere else. That's the thing, I think, is especially in the past, I think it's getting better now. A lot of people have expected that abusers PDF files all have a certain look or feel around them, that they can't just be upstanding people in your community, that they can't just be people that you feel close to and like to be around. The truth is, most of the time that is the case, and that they are people that blend in so well. They are people who are so well liked, which is what makes it so hard for people to come forward and be believed when they do come forward, which is obviously was at play for this woman, sadly, or was at play for this woman. I like to believe that a lot of the time these people do eventually get found out. And as people these days are becoming a lot more aware and people are becoming more informed through the internet and social media, really, I think that it's getting harder for these people to hide in plain sight. But obviously for this woman, I mean, this happened over 20 years ago. I can imagine how this didn't go down very well for her and how people didn't believe her, because women tended to not be believed. I think that a lot has changed from social media, and that's a brilliant thing. I eventually left that place with my husband and kids to live somewhere else. After I gave birth, my husband suggested therapy, but I was scared of being judged again, so I decided to bury it and try to forget about it. I just realised now that it was the worst way to go about it. But it's the only way I knew how, honestly. On to the update. After reading all the advice I'd gotten, I decided that I should stop running away and tell her everything. I first apologised for yelling at her for her suggestion, because in her mind it was an innocent suggestion. I told her that I wasn't angry at her, but how fast she was willing to replace her father because he was in a wheelchair, and that anger was compounded because she brought up her genetic father. I apologised again for acting childish and not like an adult. She asked me why I'm so against her genetic father being in the same vicinity as I am, and I just told her everything, from our initial friendship to her forced conception. She didn't believe me, like some Redditors predicted, but I can get a copy of the records of the court case and offered them to her if she needed to look. She looked stunned, like she wanted to believe me but couldn't. I apologised for keeping all of this from her because I didn't know how to bring it up. She told me she didn't believe me and would confirm with her genetic father, so I told her to take the time that she needed to process all of this. Later that day, she came again, crying and apologising for not believing me. I held her and cried and apologised too. It was kind of therapeutic. We had a long chat and I did feel closer to her. When we were done, she said she wanted to take me out for a surprise to help me feel better in a couple of days, which I happily agreed to. I went to see her yesterday in this little restaurant with a patio that had private pay-for-use area for a maximum of 4 people due to COVID. As she ran up to me and gave me a hug, she led me to the patio where a biological father stood. She told me he was here to apologise and start my healing journey. I just wanted to leave, but he grabbed my hand and all those memories I tried to repress just came back. I started having a panic attack and lost balance, to which he tried to help me keep my balance, which worsened everything. I honestly don't remember how I left, but I ended up in my car just sobbing. I called my eldest son to pick me up. I was not fit to drive at that moment. Today my daughter called me up, upset that I ruined her surprise, but I was extremely upset with her. I asked her why she did that when she knows everything that happened between me and him, and she tried to use the excuse of my healing journey, but I wasn't having it. She admitted that she wanted me to get used to him because he's going to be walking her down the aisle along with my husband and doing the daddy-daughter dance. I told her that while I loved her and respected her decision to meet with him, I am not willing to be anywhere he is. She started complaining about how she wants all of her family to be there, and I'm still not forgiving, but I hung up the phone. My husband is aware of everything and stands by me, of not going to her wedding, but I don't want this. If my other children were to know, they would stand by me and tell the rest of their extended family, which is going to lead to my daughter getting disowned by the family. There is no need to give me advice on this because I will be seeking professional aid. Anyway, one good thing to come out of this is that I'm finally confident enough to seek therapy. Thank you for listening to my venting and commenting on my last post. Happy holidays. I hope you enjoy it with those you love. I think tell the extended family. If they wanted to kick her out of the family because of that, so be it. I think I had a lot of sympathy for her before, but now that she knows the full picture and she's still so heartless towards you, I know some things take some time to settle in, and maybe she's not letting it, settle in, but taking it just at face value, like she has no care for you, for your trauma, and she's basically just like, get used to it. It sounds to me like she's had a bit of a cushy life and that she doesn't actually understand what any form of trauma kind of feels like or looks like. That she thinks that you can just kind of get over it if she just keeps you guys close to, oh, you guys should just hang out. And she doesn't care at all for the fact that he's actually done that to you, that he's the woman that she's grown up with. Doesn't she understand that this is why you've acted the way that you've acted, and doesn't she have any sympathy or any care for you at all? It really doesn't feel like it. It feels like she thinks the world revolves around her, and that because it's her wedding, you have to be friends with your attacker. Be friends with someone who causes you to have flashbacks and traumatized you. There is another update. Hello everyone.